Why do men act like women are simply put here for their entertainment or their enjoyment? It's so wild. I found this in the 2X chromosome subreddit. She said, my Lyft driver was upset I didn't look like my picture. She said, my husband and I just moved countries and were without a car for a few days. So we have been using Lyft to get around. I had to rush out the house one day to bring something to a government office. So I didn't really bother to get dressed up. I just did the messy ponytail and baggy t-shirt thing. As I'm grabbing a car to head to a shop, the driver pulls up, and as I get in, he shows me my own profile picture for the app, where I'm more made up, makeup, hair done, etc. And he has the audacity to go on about how I look nothing like my photo. You're so beautiful in the picture. What happened? The audacity, y'all. She says, immediately, I'm terrified that this guy picked me up because he thought I was pretty, and I hate myself for it. Why does she hate herself? She didn't do anything except show up. She says, but I laughed it off before shutting down for the rest of the drive. He kept trying to engage with me about it. I stopped responding, and he finally ended it with, that was a joke, by the way. I felt so unsafe for the entirety of the drive and kept texting my husband, who was also rightfully concerned. Had a panic attack once I got dropped off, reported him, got refunded. I just don't understand why men ever think it's appropriate to comment on a woman's appearance like that, especially in a space where it's so easy for us to feel unsafe. Like, of course, I'm not in full makeup every hour of the day, dumbass. Excuse me for wanting to be comfortable while I run errands. Now, there are times when men start talking about things like, you can't even give a woman a compliment. You can't even talk to a woman these days. It's because they literally don't know how to talk to women like humans. Like, what is this even? And why do they think that they have such a right to just talk to random women like this? I do not understand. I am going to get into some of these comments. Joe Staff said, honed in on the part where you're so beautiful in the picture. What happened? Um, and said, how? How can anyone anywhere think that's even remotely acceptable to say to anybody, Jesus Christ? Is because they are full of audacity. They are full of audacity and entitlement, and they think that they can say anything to anyone. They have no manners or social intelligence. The FCC gave me HPV says, my 21st birthday, it started pouring. We get to the first bar, and the bouncer, after checking my ID, fully aware it was my birthday, said to me, you look better in your picture. Not as blatantly as the OP, but seriously, where do they get the nerve? They're born with it. And then it's enhanced and coddled, and, they water it and they let it grow. That's how they get the nerve. Algonquin Roundtable says, and you were much more appealing before you opened your mouth, but here we are. I'm sorry that Dee felt the need to comment, and on your birthday, no less. I'm sure you looked awesome. She says, thank you. I felt cute aside for the wet hair and had a good night. Well, that's good. Yeah, that man should not have said that, but many of these people don't think before they speak. Joe Staff says, were you covered in pig's blood or something? Holy F. At least you got your money back. Damn. And then the OP says, nope, just out in public without makeup on. And Handcuffs and Whiskey says, well, how dare you not consider the male gaze when leaving the house? I hate it here. Exactly. We don't wake up and then get dressed for them. And then on the other hand, when we are dressed up and when women do add enhancements or whatever, you have a whole other contingency of men that think that they should be talking about that as well. Women literally can't win. Y'all, we can't win. So that's the reason why you wake up and do what the F you want to do, because some men will criticize you one way or another. Stop even considering their opinion important at all. Just wake up and do you and whatever is most comfortable, whatever makes you most happy or whatever. Tiffley says, I know, right? A couple of months ago, while I was working alongside a doctor in her 40s, a patient came in and he immediately started off with, oh, doctor, I remember when you were young and beautiful. To say my jaw dropped to the floor is an understatement. Doc and me just looked at each other with a huge WTF on our face, and he didn't even notice anything being off. And then Connection Upstairs says, and every single time the men look like the melted glob stuck to the bottom of a shoe. I swear their audacity knows no bounds. Sometimes they also look like a melting snowman. Sometimes they also have postpartum curvaceous bodies and they have never given birth. They have way too much audacity and nerve, and that's the reason why we have got to be a reflection to talk about what they actually look like and how they have no wiggle room to speak on anything that a woman is wearing or looking like. They really need to be stopped, and they are stopped when you start telling them about themselves. All right, ladies, it is up to you to be a reflection back to these men. Hashtag mirrors for men. They do not have enough mirrors. They are scarce. So you must be the reflection to tell them about themselves. Let me know what you think about this one. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. So this was a post gaining traction on Twitter, and I saw it scrolling my Reddit homepage. But this is the Utah subreddit. So this is not something that would typically come across my page, my feed. She says, "What are all you Mormons who support Donald Trump thinking?" And I do think it's a woman. She says, "I don't get it. Acceptable moral standards among the LDS faithful is typically very high, except when it comes to Trump, and LDS is the Latter day Saints. Most LDS business owners would never hire a felon, yet Trump is convicted on 34 counts of first-degree felony fraud, and you want to put him in the Oval Office. In this state, a misogynistic womanizer would be ostracized, but Mr. Trump, who says if you want a woman, just grab her by the pee and go, his words, a man who, by virtue of his close association with Jeffrey Epstein, is clearly involved in X trafficking and Fredophilia, and who has been convicted in a civil court of rape. Well, the White House is where we want to put him. The LDS Church holds the Constitution of the United States to be a divinely inspired document. So when Mr. Trump on January 6th does everything he can to support and encourage sedition in direct violation of his presidential oath, who publicly calls for the lynching of the VP, and who just recently told those at one of his rallies that if we all vote him into office in November, he will fix it so we never have to vote again, clearly intending to tear down the Constitution. By golly, that's the man you want as the head of the free world." Okay, so she gets a little bit passionate about it at the bottom because she adds all these cap locks. But I don't exactly know what recommend means here, what recommend holding member means. But she says, "Nope, I'm sorry, but the every recommend holding member of the LDS Church who intends to vote for Trump should have their recommend taken from them and be disfellowshipped for gross hypocrisy." So I don't know what recommend means in this sense. So if you guys know, please let me know. But regardless, I know what disfellowship for gross hypocrisy means. She is putting these people on blast. Bombastic Simpleton says, "As someone who isn't LDS, but who has a number of family and friends who are, they may not necessarily like Trump as a person, but they prefer his party's perceived policies and the direction they take the country more than they do the Democrat side of the table. And lacking a viable third party candidate in a binary election, they are voting as much, if not more, against the Democrats than for Trump. The talking points are, look at what happened to California with their liberal policies. We don't want that here, or we need traditional values." Ironically, that's not the Republican Party, but they can't see that because the only other option is the Democrats. And for the others, they spend way too much time watching Fox News, which is more ideologically aligned with them than the others. So they miss just how truly terrible a person he is while being barraged nonstop with propaganda, hagiography about what a successful businessman and president he is. A perfect example of the dynamics is the 2016 election. One Studley man says, I remember Evan McMullen had a rather large voter turnout in the general election. There are a lot of LDS voters in Utah who would rather vote closer to their ideals if given the option. But key wedge issues like abortion stand in their way of ever supporting Harris. So this particular subgroup just pinched their noses and vote against Harris by voting for Trump. Funnily enough, I saw this a lot when I moved to California, but from more left liberals I knew. They rather vote against Trump by voting for Biden, but they really wished there was a progressive running that matched closer to their ideals. The two-party system is really to blame here. Red on the Head says, as a member of the church and a woman, I actually want abortion to be legal. Don't get me wrong, I don't like it, and I really don't want to ever be faced with the decision to have one. However, it is not my place to push my religious beliefs on someone who may or may not believe the same thing. Thank you. Thank you. Why can't other people see this? You can have your religious beliefs and have it order your life without pushing it on other people. I like Red on the Head. And what people refuse to see is that abortion is just the starting point. Already in some states, they are trying to restrict access to birth control and IVF. Exactly. Because it's not about unborn children. It is about controlling women. Because if it was about unborn children, why would they ban or decide to restrict birth control? And why are they even coming for IVF? She continues with, basically what I'm trying to say is that despite my personal feelings on abortion, I'll gladly vote for Kamala Harris any day of the week. This is in the Utah subreddit. I'm just doing this post so you can get a glimpse into what some other people are saying. Hopeful Letterhead said, that is an excellent point. As a former member of the church and a returned missionary, it is a foundational doctrine of the church that it was Satan's plan to force people to not sin, and that God rejected that plan of forcing people to be righteous, wanting them to use their agency to choose good over evil and follow him of their own free will. See, some of these people do have some sense. That whole free will thing, they talk about it right here. Hopeful Letterhead is talking about it right here. What is it, man says, great. The rest of us reasonable voters agree with you, and there's a lot of us, religious and non-religious alike. I hope you can keep your temple recommend, I guess. Red on the Head says, actually, my personal views are completely in line with what the church has said. I just don't feel like politicians should be pushing religious views on any policies or laws that they pass, because to me, that's borderline violating the First Amendment. And some of our elected officials may not take the Constitution seriously, but I do. It's not that they are borderline violating, they are outright violating. The Dunadan says, I used to be hardcore pro-life only, and at one point in my life, I might have cheered the Roe v. Wade reversal, but my opinion became much more nuanced once I read stories about teenage girls seeking abortions in Texas. This was years ago, long before the reversal, and realizing that putting young women in danger over seeking dangerous, illegal, or home remedy abortions isn't the way to go. I think if more people try to have more compassion for women and girls, we'd all be more tolerant where it comes to this abortion. I still think the goal should be to reduce abortion, but doing it via sex education, access to contraceptives, and better family planning. We could reduce unwanted pregnancies, but that's the issue. Now that we are actually reducing unwanted pregnancies with the birth rate among people that are younger than 25, they really want to increase that again because the teenage birth rate was plummeting to hell. I also think we've proven bans don't work when there's a demand for the thing being banned. Prohibition just gave us the mob built around the production, distribution, and sale of alcohol. Same with the war on drugs and the cartels. Banning abortion won't eliminate it, just make it more dangerous and spur a black market around it. And the rich are the ones who are least affected since they always skirt the laws, traveling to places where it's legal. And yeah, we've already seen the consequences in the red states with the strict bans. OBGYN offices closing. IVF status being called into question, women being turned away from hospitals who desperately need urgent care. There have been stories of women being flown into Utah from Idaho for emergency abortions. I think a strict ban would also hurt our economy as people decide not to come to Utah for business because of the bans. If we want to continue to be a leader in the nation for being a family friendly place to live, that also includes health care for things like pregnancy and women's health, which sometimes means abortion care. It's not always about unwanted pregnancies either. It can be babies who have died in the womb and other kinds of complications. I think every political issue is more nuanced than the actual discussions we end up fighting over. But abortion, in my opinion, has definitely shifted on because I was willing to look at the nuance. I had to do that comment because it was so fleshed out with what things are going on in the country, how this person changed her mind. His or her mind is probably a woman, and where things could be if more people were nuanced and looked at how this was impacting people overall. And yes, many of these forced birther states will. Their economy will be impacted as more and more women and girls leave. It's not going to happen immediately because some women and girls just might choose to leave as they go to college or away for a job somewhere else. Anyway, join the conversation. Let me know what you think about this. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. So I was sent this post and I was happy to read that this young woman is not just simply going along with her boyfriend just because he's putting pressure on her. She says, am I overreacting for telling my partner I want to wait until we're married to buy a home? Okay, let's look at this post. She says, my partner wants to buy a house ASAP. They have more savings and better credit, but I want to wait until marriage for many reasons. My partner's argument is that they have better credit. They want to buy ASAP to gain equity and roll it into a house we buy under my name eventually. My partner wants me to pay them rent with nothing in my name, no security of any kind, and being unmarried. My argument is that it's an unfair power imbalance. It's my house. I'm a partner, not a tenant or roommate. It's a financial investment for whoever's name is on it, and I should be entitled to the financial benefits of that if we're doing it together and I'm contributing, not to mention all of the other legalities involved. I'm being told I'm being irrational and overreacting because the plan is to move the value gained into a property under my name eventually, anyways, that there won't be any, it's my house, I get the final say, and we can just do a contract for the money you get. I plainly think it's stupid and I'm honestly insulted by it all. Am I overreacting? I don't care what his argument is because she is right. She says it's a financial investment for whoever's name is on it, and I should be entitled to the financial benefits if we're contributing together. She is absolutely right. I don't care if this man tells her anything. What is on the contract is what matters. And if that is his house because it is in his name and it is his, she's using they here, but I looked at her post history and she tells who, their pronouns or whatever. So this is a man speaking to a woman, and he is literally trying to just finesse her, and he's trying to put pressure on her and tell her what she needs to hear so she'll sign, but she's not going for it. I looked at some of these comments. She's not going. Crazy Mama B says, tell him to buy it in both of your names with his money. Problem solved. And then the OP says he won't add me to the title because it's his mortgage. Crazy Mama B says, I'm sorry for you. I'll have to say that you should rethink your future with this type of man. I see heartache ahead. I was married to a control freak. I left. The hardest thing in the world was seeing the pain on my children's faces. Vast description says, unless your credit is dog shit, your guy is trying to have the house in his name, so it's not a marital asset. It depends on the state, but at least where I live, if you have the house in your name before marriage, it's fully yours and not counted as an asset to the split in the event of divorce if there's no prenup. That's the only reason I could think to force a buy before you're ready. Here's the OP. My credit isn't totally in the shitter, but it's also not perfect, nor is his, albeit better than mine. It is the same rule in my state as well. Neither of us really need to buy right now either. I'm fixing my credit and situation. He is living with family, but arguably could move in with me and give it a few years, which has been discussed. But ultimately, he expects me to leave my home that's within my means and spend more money towards his house. Do you hear what she just said? She is spending on her rent what's within her means, but he wants her to contribute rent to his house. He has it all planned out in his brain how he's going to use her as a resource. I don't know why this is the discussion and why this person is not an ex-boyfriend. So Doc 1127 says, if he moves in with you, are you going to add him to the lease, or should he be prepared for you to stop loving him one day, toss him out, and change the locks? In this case, if he is living there getting mail, he still has more rights to his dwelling than she does to his home financially. So this isn't even the same thing. But Vast Description, I was trying to get to Vast Description's post because they say some good things. Vast Description says, in that case, this is the situation. He doesn't want to waste money renting, which is smart if he can afford to buy. But the reality is he can't without you, which is what you remind him of when he pushes you to do this before you're ready. But on to the main issue. He doesn't want your name on it, which means he's preparing himself to basically not have to pay you off if things don't work out, which is fine and normal, but you voiced not wanting to move in until marriage. The main thing is he is wanting to do this faster than marriage, but he wants to do it in steps. If I were you, I'd see these as the options. Number one, flat no. You have no reason to increase your bills so he can gain equity earlier if your name isn't on it now. And it's not your responsibility to make it easier for him to move out of his parents, especially since you wanted to move in at marriage. Number two, yes, but only if your name is on it. That's something that seems fair and secures what you put into the house if you split up. After all, he clearly can't afford it on his own, and as much as he hates to admit it, without you, probably would have to sell it. So it's fair to get the money from it if that were to happen. Number three, yes, but you're only paying him what you pay now. Hell, maybe less than you pay now, which can justify as the price of not having equity at the time. At the end of the day, just remember, you don't need to leave anywhere. So the ball is in your court for you to decide what to do. These are some great options, and that's the reason why I wanted to get to this. But the answer I'm working outside, should be flat no, because there's literally nothing that she is gaining at all. So that first post was 3 days ago. This post was yesterday. She says, I'm not sure what to believe, would like input from the outside. So they are both 26. She says, I'm a 26-year-old woman and I've been with my partner, a 26-year-old man, for a year and a half now. He started at about 6 months discussing marriage, rings, etc. Has sent me a ton of links to find the one, figuring out my ring size, etc. He's put a lot of effort into this. I found out he wanted to go cheap, the plated $100 rings. And it's not about the money to me whatsoever, but I wanted something that will last for life. And I'm also extremely allergic to plated jewelry. I get wet rashes. I told him this, and the ring we settled on is a little over $1,000. Told my family he had to save for a ring. Well, fast forward to today. We found out he's leaving with the military for over a year. He still hasn't moved in with me and won't until he's back. And even then, he wants to buy a house before we even get married. I'm worried he'll never actually give me the security of marriage. Why buy the cow when you can get the milk for free? I don't want this. I've been upfront about wanting marriage. I voiced my concerns on how when he gets back from deployment, we will be on our 4-year anniversary, and clearly it seems there's no forward motion, and it all feels like it was just a talk. It was just talk. I told him it upsets me and I want reassurance that he will still want marriage later on. He got mad at me for pressuring him, and he told me he's running on his timeline, not mine. Now I just don't know how to approach it going forward or how to feel. I'm going to be 27 and will be turning 29 after he comes back. I don't want to sit and wait and just be told he'll never commit to me. I don't know how to feel or what to do. She said, and I quote right here, I don't want to sit and just wait to be told he'll never commit to me. I don't know how to feel or what to do. You don't go through with this. It's not the right timing for a reason. He's trying to pressure you into getting this house situation up and running because you will be paying on it even though you're not married for the whole deployment. He is winning in this case, and you're losing because you're not gaining any equity. Absolutely not. This is a terrible setup, and he is literally trying to mine for resources. He is using this woman is being used if she allows herself to be used. At least she's thinking this through and seeing like that this is not really a great setup for her. She's thinking it through. You can see the progression from just 3 days ago to just yesterday. I'm going to leave it at that. I just wanted to show you that she is thinking this through. Y'all jump in the comments and let me know what you think. Don't forget to like, comment, and share. This next post is a screenshot of a rant. This is posted in the Incel tier subreddit. It is a rant this is the trigger warning. It's full of misogyny. It is a terrible, terrible rant. And I'm only doing this so you can see how they really, really only think about their peen. And that's the basis, that's the crux of a lot of their thinking and why they move the way they move. So at this particular point, if you need to just scroll away, just do it. If you look right here, you can see this is only the first page of 2. So you can see there are no paragraph breaks. He is just literally ranting. And for the second part, I might just post it if you want to read it yourself. So this person posted in the venting subreddit. Okay, so this person says, if I can't do anything about my size, his peen size, there's literally no point in X, dating, or living. That's what he says. Okay, the post. He says, I'm not even small, just average, like 6 inches by 4.7 inches. But if you're not big, you're small. No matter who I date, at some point, she will have been effed by some big D alpha male type guy. No matter what kind of ex I have, it will never be as enjoyable for me as it is for someone with a big D. I would do literally anything to have a big D. Literally anything. I'm completely uninterested in X. I used to have so much ambition. Now I have none. If I can't compete with D size, why try to compete in any other way? No matter what I do, the hung guys won. They effed my girl. They got to feel like more of a man than me. She probably praised them for their size. I would literally unalive to have one girl to tell me, wow, you're so big, and actually mean it. The fact that any girl I date has given a hung guy that ultimate honor, that ultimate joy and respect that I will never get. If she's given that to another man or God forbid, multiple men, then what the F is the point in dating? What kind of respect or admiration can she give me that even comes close to that? It's beyond unfair. My life has no meaning, only intense emasculation, pain, and pure rage. There is no point. All my life, this has crushed me. I hate women. I hate hung men. If I hear that someone has a big D, I literally go out of my way to make their life harder. I feel pure joy when I hear that something horrible is happening in their life. X is pointless for me because of all of this. Life is entirely pointless. Any romantic love I've ever had has involved literally constant rage and agony. This is not hyperbole. Therapy doesn't help because it doesn't make my D bigger. Meds don't help because it doesn't make my D bigger. Nothing helps. Nothing. Any girl I love is not mine because she gave some guy the greatest joy and admiration possible. I'm just see y'all. Y'all see this rant? Everything in this person's life is equated. All of his emotions is equated to his peen. What kind of mess is this? So you see, he has a whole nother page full of ranting, and I'm not going to do this whole thing. But he says right here, every hour of every day, I feel like I'm watching my girlfriend get effed in front of me. He doesn't have a girlfriend. And then he says, there is no point. I pray every day, every night that I die in my sleep. This is right. This is challenging. This pain is greater than my love for my parents, even. So they're not even the thing stopping me anymore. Nothing compares. Nothing redeems life to me. All because of his pain, y'all. I am going to actually stop reading here. You guys can continue it if you want to, but I just wanted you to see how some of these people's actions may not be this ranty, this venty, but a lot of the things that they say and do equate to how they are going to get their nut, their orgasm, and their peen size. And you see how much this man talked about it in comparison with another man. So he is literally sitting here ruminating on multiple other men's peen size. I just wanted to put that out there. Y'all, join the conversation. Let me know what you think about this. Don't forget to like, comment, and share.